All right, guys, another Thursday and another PDOCS livestream series episode. As I mentioned in my post this week, this will be the last one of 2024. Obviously, we do have one more Thursday, but next week I'll be traveling, and I think it's the day after Christmas, if I'm not mistaken. So we will likely be back that first Thursday after New Year's with the livestream series. And again, you can already see on the screen here the PDOCS Blueprint. You know, labeled starters, and I like to specify that, but helping people hit their first, next, or more importantly, what I've noticed is consistent 10K months. Now, I think there's a few different tiers that we're going to label starters under in this pretense. It doesn't mean you're necessarily a starter. You could have been hanging around in this space for a couple months, couple years, 5+ years, who knows how long, right? And you've just either never hit or you've cracked a 10K month here and there, but you haven't figured out a consistent way to do it. You could be brand new to this space and just looking to launch a coaching product, an expert service, any type of service-based business. You know what I mean? Doesn't always have to be information-based. Can certainly be just straight service-based. Can be product-based. But we show people how to really hit their first, next, or consistent 10K months, and this is the most extensive doc to do it. So I did a couple little posts in my stories this week, and I got a pretty good amount of comments in the actual story. So I was kind of curious. I'm kind of curious if anyone's watching right now. And again, every week when I do these live to the group, I don't sit here and moderate the comments at the same time, but I do check them on my phone periodically, every 10 to 15 minutes throughout the live stream. So if you have any comments, or if you're watching, comment live, let me know you're here. So when I go check, I see some people. But just kind of curious, do you guys actually get engagement and comments from your stories, like people commenting and DMing you directly from your stories? Or is that just, I don't know, is that just when you post really compelling things or actually put calls to action? I'm just kind of curious, because I know I only get it when I'm kind of trying to, and when I put a call to action outside of a like, or, maybe a family member or friend commenting. But I'm talking about like somebody saying, yeah, I want it, give me that, how do I sign up? You asked me to DM you, something like that, because I can make a little overview on that. I can get that kind of engagement pretty regularly. But again, I digress. Going into this week, I did some posts and some videos because, as I mentioned in my post, with the year coming to an end, and as I said, wise man once say, as it ends, so it begins. And a lot of things come full circle. A lot of clients I'm working with now, have had success, have run big companies and done big things, but now they're starting a new offer from scratch, and they're kind of stuck again on like how to get to ground zero. A couple private clients I'm working with, a couple of the newer or existing PDOCS CAM members that are in our weekly membership program. I've just been diving back into this a lot. And again, I think was it last week or the week before, I ran a live stream. I think it was last week because I touched on this. It was. And I ran a live stream going over this, document I created with the 5 probably best resources or aspects of the program that actually get people results. And I've seen it over and over and over again. And this was one of those. But I just touched on this last week. And then some of the clips I made off of last week's live stream, this is what seemed to get the most attention and people were asking the most about. So I've dove it back into this, and as I talked about a little, going over this, re-streamlining things by taking things out that, were in here when we first published it and that aren't effective, adding certain methods I wasn't doing or didn't know back then that are doing now, and just kind of re-streamline this. So Adam is 100% still the author of this. I've just made some subtle tweaks, adjustments, and I would say I've evolved it, and kind of re-streamlined it. So let's dive into some of this. And as I talked about really quickly, the goal of setting up this particular blueprint method to, get your first 10K months are to build, test, validate, and optimize your offer to either close a deal or uncover a client objection or marketplace objections that you can use as stepping stones to higher conversion rates, right? So we always say 2 things will happen when people implement this guide. The third thing that'll happen is you won't implement it, and anything from here on down won't matter, so stop watching, right? But you'll go through the content, you'll implement, and you'll close a client or clients, or you'll not close a client, but you're going to uncover more about your prospect and your offer than you ever have before, which is super exciting as well, because once you do that, now we can help optimize and dive back into that feedback loop and make tweaks, whether that's pricing, how it's packaged, the offer, the hook, how you're interacting with your prospects, whatever that is, and I'll talk about that some more, that will make more sense. As I always tell people, kind of focus on the system and detach yourself from the outcome. I think a lot of people have problems doing that. If they don't see a result or a specific outcome in the first 7 or 10 days of trying something, they just kind of throw their hands up and say, oh, this strategy sucks, it doesn't work. And they switch to something else, which is outlandish. That's one of the, probably the main reasons I've had success with the companies I've done, because I kind of had a pretty solid understanding of the course of action I wanted to follow, what I thought had the highest percentage and level of efficacy and success rate, and I stay behind it until it either works or I find out why it's broken and I tweak it. I don't just pivot and switch every 10 days or 14 days or 2 weeks or a month or whatever, right? So no matter what happens, as this says, we help a lot of our clients implement this stuff as well. But we help you, dial in the big picture, right? So the idea is you learn how to do this manually, and then we turn it into an automatic system, which is super, super important. The PDOCS method, and obviously we should all know if you're here in this group watching, unless you're very, very new and came in this group in the last week or two, PDOCS stands for pains, desires, obstacles, common beliefs, and steroids or attention grabbers in the marketplace. So we want to identify the PDOCS, the pains, the desires in your marketplace. We want to build out proven, effective transitional messaging. We want to validate the concept of that the messaging is actually leading to people raising their hand, asking for further details, showing that they are intrigued and curious about what we're talking about, right? If the messaging isn't doing that, we're going to optimize it. Once we validate and optimize, and once we know what messaging, which angles, which hooks, which offers are working, those are the things we scale and put more efforts behind, whether that's organic or whether that's paid or whatever. As we say down here, where it's organic, paid ads, cold email, the same concept does apply. And all of these things, you're going to kind of start manually, organic, and then automate paid traffic systems, email autoresponders, all kinds of other things that you can add in later, right? So again, the power of this doc, and you see when I scroll up and down, if anybody wasn't sure, on the right, that's page 3 down to 4. It's a 53-page document, and no matter how long I go on this, there's no way I'm diving into all 53 pages on one particular sitting. And again, I'm going to check the phone to see if anybody's watching. Would love to hear some comments or some feedback. Let me know you're there, and I'll answer any questions shortly. But yeah, so we'll dive into some more. I'll go check some questions, and again, depending on if there's actually people watching or engaging, we'll go a little deeper. If it doesn't seem like many people heard about this or were able to jump on or whatever, I might cut it a little short today. But how will you use this PDOCS method to land your first few clients and or uncover objections? Usually it's going to be a combination of the both, of the two, right? So you will identify the deepest pains, desires, obstacles, common beliefs, steroids of your customer. These are not things you think keeps your customer up at night. They're things that actually do, right? A lot of us are told to forecast what is keeping your client up. And I've seen weird methods from certain coaches that are telling you to dive into their psychology. What TV shows do they watch and what food they eat? None of that comes into your marketing. That's not what really is going to matter, right? So you need to identify those things. Then we show people how to create messaging that transitions the customer and their problem to understanding the real problem. So is that from unaware to problem aware? Is that from, surface or symptom level awareness to actual awareness? We call it, there's unaware, there's problem aware, there's solution aware, there's product aware, there's offer aware, and there's different ways to kind of different nomenclature or verbiage you can use depending on how you want to set that up. Then we validate that with real sales calls, conversations, engagement. You will, yes, shock, actually speak with prospects. We'll show you systems on how to book 3 to 4 prospects a day organically, right? You're going to use, or you're going to be getting sales and objections. Both are great. Objections are absolute gold. I remember in a good story when I first met Adam, and I listened to him taking sales calls. Now, most of you guys, if you know Adam, he's a genius when it comes to product creation, to writing copy, to frameworks, to paid ads, to a lot of that stuff. He's not a great salesperson, right? And what he was doing, and he loves his product and his stuff so much, and he's so worried about the objections and the feedback. When I would first work with him and audit his sales calls, and he was taking them, you could tell, to totally get objections, but he would never even ask for a credit card or try to collect a sale because he knew there was more value in getting the objections and going back and tweaking his copy and his messaging. So that is so valuable. The objections you get, the hesitancy, the apprehension, the why we're not moving forward, and especially when we get down to the real objections. I always say there's kind of three types of objections we see. I call that the RBO exercise. Reflex, which is usually just a reaction, and usually based around price. Hey, my program's 10K. Holy cow, I wasn't like, that's a reflex. It's not really an objection. There's a brush off. Send me a proposal. I'll follow up with you. Send me an email. Give me your business card. That's kind of an F off. Likely you'll never probably get back on a call with that guy. And so many people are like, oh, he told me to send him a proposal. I'm sure I'll have a closed deal. How many people try to sell like that and never hear back from that prospects, or only 10% of proposals actually come back to them? You got to tie them down to something on that call. So yeah, you can either go through that and get the proposal done. And next, I'm sorry, I got a little sidetracked there because I started reading, because it kind of ties into, oh yeah, and then identify the frame and the gaps in your process for offer messaging, and we show you how to combat this. So again, when we get down to the end and objections, as I was talking about, what we want to find is like the real reason they're not moving forward. Again, I said reflex, brush off, and then actual O is the actual objection. Now, we want to always dive this down to finances, and that's what it should be, especially if you've run the sales call right, you're speaking with the right prospect, and you're making the right offer. Should always come down to finances. Now, there's other what you would call logistical or hindrance type of objections, which might be spouse, partner, I gotta shift money around, which that again ties back into money. But the other ones, the ones that are more brush offs or more vague that we need to dial in more and tie down more on this process is I need to think about it. I gotta talk to the wife. I'll get back to you. Like, you don't just end a conversation like that. You find out what the root of the problem is, and you either overcome it there, you set a way to overcome it in the coming days, or you realize that it's something you might not be able to overcome because this person's just not going to move forward. And then you might not assess the right person. Then we'll optimize it all by refining the offer, messaging, teaching you how to extract the gold from your messages. So I just kind of went through all that ahead of times. And then you'll be able to scale and jump into some inbound where we can set up automatic systems. So it's really that process on rinse and repeat. And then we have a 7-day challenge that correlates to this. A lot of you guys in this group have been through our 7-day challenge, whether you were through a live one or kind of the course in the evergreen model, which we still have for now only $74. It's pretty ridiculous. But we map out, what you should be doing each day. And I like things that are step-by-step process and build out the right expectations. And this isn't a full-time gig. You could do all these things day 0, day 1, day 2 in an hour or two tops, right? And then I know, when I go in and break that down, and each day that I mentioned above, day 0, day 1, day 2, day 3, right? Then down below each one, we show you exactly how to do this, the preparation sheets, how to go fill these out. Again, I think I touched on this quickly last week, and I probably stopped, I remember, around page 10 last week. I still think a lot of people overlook, really, not necessarily the time codes, but I think I went above it. Yeah, scheduling your power hours, which I do in color blocks, which that's the next step. But I think this is super important. So we show them how to build out the schedule, how to identify their chronotype, and when their power hours are. That's when I'm most productive. And pretty much every time you guys see me recording, especially live streams, I know what my power hours are, and that's when I block out a lot of my creative and my presentation and my client-facing stuff. I like to do it when I know I'm at my best throughout the day. So again, all these things we actually implement as well. Then day 1, this is the exact exercise that you need to go through, right? Yada, yada, yada. Down to day 2. Day 1 is pretty lengthy, or I might have scrolled too far. Either way, you can see all the examples. And what's cool about these, actually, so it's just so I don't scroll right through them, because I want to make this a little more in depth. This is a pretty good exercise too that we go through in this document. Just very simple. A lot of people overcomplicate when they're trying to dial in the specific problem, the specific keywords, congregation points. You don't need to overthink this stuff when it comes to the research. But what I wanted to bring up is methods to find and extract congregation points. So we give you actually, Facebook screenshots of what to do, where to get the links from, where to go post that, how to go break down the research, and then how to go create copy, content, or conversations within that post or based off of that post. Building in LinkedIn outreach booleans, which a lot of my clients that I have worked with before, I've helped build these for. Endless. So I'm still only not even halfway through the doc. All right, so day 1 was really extensive, and I do remember. And On Facebook, unless you guys ask anything about the challenge, I'm not going to go pitch it there. If I put this on YouTube and run it as a replay, if anyone's interested watching, I'll drop the information and the link to the 7-day challenge where you can, go through this with us in, I won't say in real time because it's not a live challenge, but in the full capacity of when Adam and I and our team ran this, all the students that were live, how we taught this in real time, how we executed. I think the good part of those, because they were in large group settings, is the Q&A, the things that maybe we might not cover that you have questions on. Guarantee in that group someone else is asking. So anything you can't figure out yourself, I mean, for $74 you can go through and get the whole overview of how to go through and build this all out. But again, totally optional. Diving into this 3-step process that, again, I was just going over this with a client last week. Funny, because I wasn't using this doc. I hadn't even dug this out yet at that point, so maybe it was about 2 weeks ago. And we built out his messaging in the same 3-prong approach. Like, it doesn't change. I might use different verbiage, but it's still really, hey, this is kind of the problem. This is an unexpected solution. How we've seen overcome this. Would this be helpful for your industry, or do you just want to see your competition, become lucrative with this, right? Whatever it is. So the real problem, inject a knowledge gap, build angst. A quick little exercise, which I've done for so many offers and so many clients, on how to map that out and systemize it so you can copy and paste it and use it in further copy ads, things like that. Again, what we are showing you and what I keep kind of saying redundantly is like, figure this out manually, figure out what's working, and then those are things we're going to automate. So same thing we were just talking about, broken down a little differently, and a blueprint for how to do that. Now we're going to start to get in some outreach scripts, right? So let's say in this offer, we're going to assess the situation, right? In this stage, when we're assessing where the prospect is, we use an assess diagnostics tool, which is located here. The objective is to ask non-invasive questions and allow you to diagnose the real reason for the problem, right? You want to ask questions in the diagnostic tool and then proceed to the assign stage. You guys hear us talk about this a lot, but credit, this is credit where credit is due. Oh, okay, forget it. I bought, yeah. That's pretty funny. And that's exactly the buying pocket. That's pretty funny because I still utilize that verbiage. And I may or may not have worked for that company and that individual. So, but every process you speak to will generally fall into one of two categories. You can branch them down into further buckets and different offers. That's much more extravagant, but this will always be true. Person A, they've been burnt in the past, they've been let down, they have lower goals, and they've never had a system that works. Person B, they think they can do it all themselves, they don't want to accept that they might need help, right? And will is often just want a very specific problem solved and to be on their way. Your job is to kind of identify which person you're speaking with and pull them into the buying pocket, right? So we walk through exactly how to do that, the diagnostics tool mentioned and the questions we ask, and how to map that all out. This is the actual diagnostic tool, what it looks like. Now in this answer, here's a rough example. Cannot lose weight and or gain muscle. So what have they tried, right? Which person does they fall into, bucket A or B? And then within that, do they fall into a no or a yes or a never or a very often? And then we can map out scenarios based on each one of those. Again, the prospect that isn't doing this as opposed to this and said no to this as opposed to yes to this will fall into a different bucket, and we're going to say or inject a different knowledge gap to that person than we are this person that falls on the far right end of that particular little tool or little graphic. Assigning the frame, very quickly, we run you through the 4-step process that we always use. These are the 3 we talked about before, right above, real problem, knowledge gap, and angst. We preface this one with permission, and we show you exactly how to do that. Very simply, right? Once you know they have a problem or you've diagnosed that in a post, in a comment, wherever, hey, you mind if I weigh in on this, right? And just, simply get their permission. Sure, I'd love to hear back from you. Right? Then we show you like conversations, makes total sense. Mind if I weigh in on that quick? Sure, I would. So it sounds like the reason, again, we break this all down with examples of conversations we've actually used. We then take them to a call to action, obviously. And again, examples of how we do that. When we take people to call to action and we see, now that we've assigned the frame, we also do an acceptance phase. So that they fall into like a strong frame of acceptance. Hey, Ray, what you said totally makes sense. I'd love to find out more. Then the call to action is much more simple. If it's a medium, acceptance to the frame, meaning, Ray, that kind of makes sense, but I'm not really sure if that will work for me or my, business model. I might go about it a little different. And a weak acceptance would be, Ray, what you said makes no sense. I totally don't think that would work for me. That means means you either got the wrong prospect, the wrong knowledge gap, or something totally backfired, because I can't really remember the last time I've got that response. But again, mapping that all out in a systematic approach and then seeing examples of the verbiage and the structure we use is super relevant for people when they kind of model this. I've talked about a lot of other people in this space have modeled or mimicked this particular blueprint, not all 53 pages, but they pulled out parts of it and embedded it into their stuff and tweaked it subtly. And that's what we all do, right? Really quickly, before I dive into the last few minutes of this, let me just check if there are any comments or anything's going on in the live stream. Hey, Raymond, document looks amazing. Awesome, JP. I will make sure to get it over to you personally. And that's another thing I probably overlooked or forgot to mention. But if you're watching on Facebook, I will link this down below in the description. And on YouTube, this will also be linked. So sorry, Facebook down in the comments under this live stream, or probably wherever I did hype post for this, because I will have a replay where it's up on YouTube. And again, if you're watching there, this is valuable. Subscribe to my amazing channel. No, I know I have no aesthetics, no production value, but your valuable 53-page document will be linked down in the description below and what we're going over here. So awesome. Glad you're loving it, JP. This is literally one of our most extensive things. And guys, it sounds corny, it sounds cheesy. I say a few cliche things that unfortunately, well, maybe fortunately they are true, right? But unfortunately they sound like cliches when show you truly care, right? Really operate in the prospect's best interest. These are all things I believe, as well as, wait, oh shoot, I just got sidetracked. I just got to pop up on my screen that totally sidetracked me. Sorry, guys. I forgot where I was at. Oh, yeah, talking about, but what I was saying is another cheesy cliche, my bad, is just wishing I had something like this when I got started. Again, kind of cheesy, but if I had this, it would have made life a lot simpler. I'll just say that. And to be honest, if I had this, there's no way I jump into the first $15,000 mentorship that me and my business partner at the time paid to invest into to build out our first framework. We had to go through the trial and error, and I've said this over and over, from that 15K mentorship program, it's probably about 20% I resonated with and pulled out of there and embedded into stuff I did in the future. I don't know if I'm still using any of it, to be honest. I highly doubt it. But about 80% of that stuff just was like, not my style, spammy, scammy, just didn't feel right? Didn't feel like I was doing outreach ethically, integrity-based, solution-based, and again, operating in people's best interest, there to help and offer value. I show a lot of screenshots both in the group and on my timeline throughout the week, the month, the years of people just reaching out to say, thank you, Ray. I can't believe you actually cared. Oh, that one little bit of advice made some tweaks, and I'm now pitching a 13.5K offer. Hey, implemented your messaging last week, already getting positive replies, and have a sales call booked for tomorrow. So just hearing people implementing this stuff and getting results is super, super valuable. And again, this document, I think, is the most streamlined step-by-step, blueprint we can put together. Diving into day 5, really extracting the offer and the offer creation framework. And a lot of you guys know I kind of consider myself an offer creation expert after crafting over 300 high-ticket offers for private clients. Of course, dozens or so for our own businesses and offers, but over in the hundreds for private clients. And this is super, super important. You got anybody I've ever spoke with and get on a call with about their offer, it's never the same when we finish the call. Now, sometimes I'm creating it from scratch. Sometimes it's subtle tweaks. Sometimes it's different upsells and downsells, but there's always ways it can be positioned, priced, packaged, and the perceived value can be shown better to your marketplace. And that's what this is all about. This is where we all show you. If I didn't, I might have already scrolled by it because I'm obviously kind of hovering this document about our How Hero Outreach conversations. And that particular script is located within this document. Diving down to the triple A, no, not the triple A. The triple A is our other framework. This is the 7A framework, which I've created tutorials in the past on as well. But again, good to understand these because this comes into all of your copy and all of your marketing always, like all of these things. Whether you know it or not, they're always there. The attention, the acknowledgement, when we want to kind of rock the boat and agitate things at times to get people's attention. Creating authority, creating angst, the cost of inaction, ambiguity, which I think a lot of people overlook, and then the appeal. you've seen all different words for that, but it's a lot more memorable when you can create them all out of the same first letter, which is as we create a lot of frameworks. Now this is where it really gets cool in terms of like the worksheet. We basically took what we mapped out on our Miro board on how we do this and put all of the screenshots of that down in here in the document, and then how we created or how we crafted our 7A's, right? So there's a big framework on how to do that, and then the exact framework to build, beginning to extract the core offer as we talked about. Also, something here in the free PDOCS group that you might want to look up is my offer building masterclass, which is just about crafting your core high ticket offer and all the resources just specific to that, and not all of the days and all the steps kind of jammed into one document like this. But again, it's just kind of endless in the amount of value it gives you, and it's walking through this in the proper sequential order of day 1, day 2, day 3, day 0. You saw prep work. There's foundations, there's understanding and knowledge, there's implementation, there's optimization, then there's execution and efficiency. So by the time we get into day 6 of working with clients and teaching clients, we're ready to set up the actual call structure and how to dial that in, making sure that we know how to run those calls. I was talking with a private client, a one-on-one the other day, and I went through a mock triage call and brought up my triage script, or framework I should say, because I don't operate out of a script. I brought it up and I ran it through and did a quick role play with him, and at the end he was 100% ready to move forward, but I was like, how is that compared to how you run your triage calls now? And he's like, I don't do them anything like that. I'm like, yeah, I get that a lot. Let me guess, in terms of structure and asking the right questions, he's like, yeah, exactly. I'm kind of all over the board, or I'm very structured and I'm actually reading from a script, right? So knowing how to go in there and handle those calls and be confident that you're going to structure them again in a way that they're going to convert at the end, whether that conversion is a homework assignment and a next call, whether it's a proposal and a closed deal, depends on how your process and your prospect. There are certain businesses where I set up a 2-call process, and certain clients have been following me for a while, have been watching 8 or 10 of our YouTube videos. Like that person, there's a lot higher chance, and I already know going in, like I might be able to just talk product and close them on this call. But if I just clicked on your ad or saw your post yesterday, know nothing about you, seen none of your content, know nothing about your expertise, your solutions, odds are the first call, I'm just going to drop some value and build a little relationship, send you some homework, and set you for a second call when we can talk more about a specific offer and build expectations and a timeline for their solutions, right? So what we do on a lot of these, and still in everything I did, and too funny how this keeps coming up in my previous sessions. One last night, one with the other guy I was talking about with the triage call. Last night I did a one-on-one role play with my most recent Remote Sales Academy student, who's now at the part where we're doing the one-on-one role plays, trying to get him prepped and ready for placement. And again, he was overlooking this too, but we're always tying people down to that one problem. So JP, if I could show you a way to build a consistent, predictable acquisition system, would that help you overcome these lack of consistent months and hitting your first 10K month? Yes, Ray, it would. Whatever that one thing is it consistent, predictable lead gen? Is it lower ad costs? Is it higher amount of appointments, right? But what is that one thing that's really going to make the difference? And then we really tie them down to that before we get into offering the whole solution, right? So again, very, very extensive. I'm finally getting to the end of this, luckily before I lose my voice, and you can just see a little more of the resources. What I just scrolled by a moment ago was more overcoming objection, standard frameworks and examples, I should say, more so than frameworks that we've seen, taking people from the unaware avatar in this particular niche, real estate. So just some more examples, understanding the eco, which is covered earlier in this script, in this document, which is covered in, 40% or more of my PDOCS trainings, because it comes back to that very, very often. And then, again, extracting the final in-depth offer for a very specific real estate agent niche or whatever one. Again, you saw this exact formula above where it was showing you what to enter in bold. Now that we go in and fill that, it basically maps out your whole process. And that kind of rounds out. We went into one more day, I believe, but that might have been a bonus. Yeah, so day 7, ready to scale, book a time. And there was actually a bonus module, a bonus day 8, which I filmed and have on my YouTube channel, which after day 7, I just went and took all the FAQs of somebody who didn't get a result. Now, there was still a little missing piece and a couple things weren't tied together. And all the challenge participants obviously got the bonus day. I totally forgot, and understand that we never put it in here because we had this document created before I knew I was running a bonus day. But what I remember being the three things is me diving deeper into the unaware to problem aware and how to take them along and how to do that transitional messaging, which is really the tool or the framework or the strategy that gives you the ability to start to create your own customers. When you can take someone from that unaware market to problem aware, then you can automatically start talking about solution, and you're the first one to do so because you made them aware of the problem. So they haven't been looking for solutions. No one else has pitched them anything. No one else has offered other solutions. So that's why that's so important. And you see in certain people's trainings, and you'll see maybe that funnel or that triangle or that pyramid saying only 8% of your market is ready to buy today, 17% is on the fence or looking for solutions, and 63% of the market is unaware, right? That's the market you need to be able to tap into to create your own clients. So I remember diving more into that, then diving more into the knowledge gap analysis. I broke that down one time further for paid participants in the challenge and how that converted into eco. So it was those three things. It was the unaware to problem aware, the knowledge gap analysis into eco, which are kind of combined, but those are also separate things. So I would say three things. Unaware to problem aware being one, knowledge gap being another, eco frameworks. So if you also are watching somewhere, I'm probably not going to link that everywhere, but if that sounds interesting and you at least want to just check out that bonus day 8, whether you participated or buy the challenge or not, happy to send that over. Just let me know you want that. And in closing, let me just go back and see if I have anyone else jumped on or any last minute comments or questions. And otherwise, I am going to round it out here momentarily. That's my group. Looks like a couple more comments, all from JP. Loving it, JP. Thank you for the support and tuning in. YouTube channel is awesome. Highly recommend. Boom. I appreciate that, buddy. Yep. I'm going to send you, again, I already mentioned it, but I'm going to send you this document directly right after the call. So you have it. I think it'd be super helpful if you haven't already got it before. Wishing you family. Thank you very much. That's really was just what I was about to get into to round it out. JP, he goes on to say, wishing you and your family a blessed holiday and a new year, my friend. So guys, just checking back for any questions. Looked like we had 4 viewers on live, but JP was the only one chiming in and commenting. Awesome. Thank you for your support. If anyone else, again, is watching here and they don't see the link for what I mentioned posted below, or you're watching on YouTube and I mentioned something, again, like that day 8 challenge and day 8 challenge and it's not down in the description, just let me know you want it. Shoot me a comment. I always have in the description the link to DM me directly or add me on Facebook, so if I don't catch you on YouTube, we can just DM each other. I can get you whatever you need right over. And in addition to that, thank you, JP, and anyone else watching here live or on the replay. This is our last one and last live stream until the new year. So I reiterate JP's sentiment of I wish everybody a safe and happy holiday season. I'm a Merry Christmas guy, so Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, be safe, spend time with your family. And my last bit of advice here, which I didn't think I was going to go into until right now, is don't necessarily lay off the gas pedal. You'd be surprised, even if things for a lot of offers and businesses, and we saw this a little in 1 or 2 of our own offers, got a little slow, say December 5th or 7th through maybe even today, mid to late December. I've actually found that when I keep my calendar open and run and take sales calls that week between Christmas and New Year, even if it's only I open up 3 or 4 or 2 days of availability. I have had problems with show rates in that week with people booking maybe and forgetting that they were traveling that day or forgetting it was a holiday or what have you. But the people that show on those days are usually the eager people looking to get a jump on what other business owners are going to look at month 1 or 2 into the new year, and they want to get on it now. So I do get a lot of really high intent buyers when I leave my calendar open and book and I'm putting out offers that week. So again, just a bit of advice. Obviously do whatever suits you. Certainly take personal time and enjoy it with your family. But don't think you need to lay off just because people aren't buying, because I can guarantee you're wrong. It's actually usually one of our busiest weeks, barring we have reps and calendar availability, which even for our offers, I've been out of the calendar forever. I just got put back in for the next handful of days because we have people that want to book and speak with us, and I have a lot of team members on vacation and traveling, and I want to respect their time. But if I have people booking calls and I'm spending money on ads and they want to speak with us, I'm going to open up my calendar and dive back in. So another example of kind of drinking our own Kool-Aid. You guys all have a safe and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we will catch you PDOCS style in the new year.